Vyas, and this video is a collaboration with Programming Knowledge. Welcome to the fourth video of understanding how we can write unit tests for our Springboot REST API application, and also talk about how TDD works and how we can use TDD to write or implement our REST API and see how it is different from the conventional way of writing a REST API. In this video, we will implement the business layer of our REST API so that we can then start with the testing process and understand how we can test a REST API application. And let's just go over a quick summary of what we have learned in the previous videos. So in the first video, we had talked about what we'll be building, which is unit testing our REST API application. We talked about the importance of software testing in the software development lifecycle. We have also talked about what JUnit is in the second video, and also we saw some simple examples of JUnit. One is here, where we see how we can prepare a test class, use the test annotations, and then basically write our tests for our application. In the third video, we implemented the domain and persistence layers for our application, where we had implemented a book record and also had a book repository which extended the GPA repository class. Now, in this video, let's start implementing our endpoints and see how that works out. So first, we need to do a simple get mapping. So let's start with a get mapping, and we just get all the books. So we'll do a public list of book, and this will be get all book records. Let's make sure R is capital, and let's import the class. And this will be return book repository dot find all. Pretty straightforward, as you can see. The main reason why we are using the GPA repository is because we get out of the box functions which can automatically help us with our REST API database implementations. So this is the get all book records. The next is a get book by ID. So we'll do a get mapping again, but this time the value which we need is going to be the book ID, and once we have the book ID, we can return it back to the public or the client. So we are going to return a single book, so get book by ID. We will be having a path variable, and this path variable is going to be having a value called as book ID, which is going to be a long book ID. And now let's quickly implement our book repository method. So we return book repository dot find by ID, and we just pass in the book ID into it. So as you can see, pretty straightforward. Let me simplify this a little bit so that it's easier to read. Pretty straightforward, nothing to worry about here. Return an optional. So this is going to be an optional book ID. So let's take care of that. Shouldn't be a big issue. All we can do is just do a get. So dot get, and that should be helpful. Okay, so now we need it to be an optional, but we can work about this later. In fact, we will be finding out all of this issues in our unit tests once this breaks. So wait for that. Let's finish implementing our CRUD API. The next thing that we need is going to be the post mapping. So @post mapping, and we are going to create a book record. So we'll do public book create book record, and now this is going to be coming in from the request body, and we have to make sure that it is a valid book record, and this is going to be a book record, and now we return book repository, not book record, book repository dot save, and what we are saving is a book record. Now this will create and add the book as a value inside our tables, and we will be having that book stored. We did not have to implement or write any native SQL queries for this. The Apache Derby in-memory database takes care of all of this with the JP repository interface that we extended, and we can only focus on our business layer and the business logic, which is to create, update, and find our books. Now, the last but not the least inside our application is going to be updating the book record. So this is going to be a lengthier code. So let's start with it. So let's do a put mapping, public book update book record. This will also have a request body. So request body. This will also need to be valid. It will be a book called as a book record. Now let's actually make this a bit better than our create book record implementation. So first we do a check to see if the book exists or not before we get it. So what we do is if book record is equal to null, or book record dot get book ID is equal to null, then we can't really get the book back. So what we can do is we can throw new not found exception and just say book record or ID must not be null, and that's it for now. Let's see, we add the exception, no problem. Next we then do get. So we do an optional book, I'm sorry about the dog. We get an optional book which is equal to book repository dot find by ID, and we do a book record dot get book ID. Now we have an optional book. Now let's check if the book is actually present or not. So let's do a check if optional book dot is present, then we are good to go. But we want to do a check, so we'll do if not present, then what do we do? So we throw new not found exception, which will basically say that book with ID book record dot get book ID does not exist. Sorry. And now once we have come till here, we definitely know that the book does exist. So all you have to do is go book existing book record is going to be optional book dot get, and now we know for sure that the book exists, and all we have to do is update its attributes. So we do set, the book ID cannot change, so set name, and we do book record dot get name. Next thing that we will be doing is set summary to a book record dot get summary, and last but not the least is going to be ratings. Existing book record dot set rating, which is going to be book record dot get rating, and this way we have our book record done. All we have to do is save it again. So we do a return book repository dot save, and we do existing book record. Now we have updated the book record. We have everything here. So we have checked whether the book exists or not. We did a check to the database and make sure that the book is valid. Once we have the book, we had updated it and everything was looking good. So now we have a good API ready, a well-written API ready, where it has all the basic requirements that we need for writing our unit tests, which we'll start in the next video. So here, as you can see, we have our book record, we have our book repository, and the controller includes the book repository, get all book records, get book by ID, create, and update. Delete, we will be writing. So let's just do what to do. Write delete end point using TDD method. So this will help us and remind us that we need to write another method called as delete, and we'll be doing that using the TDD method and see how that works. Let's quickly build our application and make sure that everything is working properly without any errors, so that we can then start with our unit tests. And the best part about this is that writing unit tests is that I don't need to check whether my application is working or not with Postman or any other API tool. All I have to do is write unit tests, and if my unit tests are passing, then the book controller and the book API is working perfectly. And if it's not passing, if it's failing, then I know what I need to work on. So this we can work on. So in the next video, some Derby errors which we can definitely solve. But for now, we have our API up and running. And in the next video, we will start with understanding how to write unit tests for our REST API application. So thank you for watching, and make sure you go through the links in the description below, which talk about how JUnit works, talks about how we can test REST API applications, and I'll catch you in the next video.